Hello there. Welcome back to the Legalpreneur Attorney YouTube channel. I'm Andrea Sager, CEO and founder of Legalpreneur, and this YouTube channel is dedicated to helping you, the solo attorney, always have a consistent stream of clients always coming to you. This channel dives in every single week to each of the 99 ways to find your next client. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a free download. You can get it in the description. Just click below. You'll find it there. Completely free download. And you can go back and watch other videos. This week specifically, I am diving into number 11, Masterminds. I am personally a huge fan of Masterminds, and I've seen these in a couple of different ways. It can be an accelerator, typically the startup route. Masterminds, which I've been a part of for, since 2019. Those are typically for the small businesses or growing businesses, and I've seen those work in a million different ways. And then BNI, I'm not too familiar with it, but I've heard Masterminds are very similar to BNI. But I think I've heard BNI, you have to refer a certain number of people or this and that. Masterminds are not about referring people at all. Masterminds are coming together, which was initially a concept introduced in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read it, I absolutely suggest reading that. It's free. You can download it. The copyright has expired, so you can download a free version. You can also buy a physical copy, but if you just want it for free, Google it, download it. So specifically Masterminds, I joined 2019. I joined Chris Harder's mastermind, and this was specifically just a business mastermind. There are masterminds just for lawyers or for specific practice areas, but for me, I knew that I wanted to have a business first approach to my law firm. And I think that was a very important mindset shift for me personally to make in my law firm, which helped me make $400,000 in my first year, $1 million in my second year. So definitely something to be said about it. But my journey, I had come into Chris Harder's world, which if you don't know him, him and his wife are powerhouse business owners. Like, they're absolutely incredible at what they do. And he started his own mastermind in 2017 or 2018, and I joined in 2019. So funny, he's actually texting me right now. I just saw it come through on the computer. I pitched him to be on his podcast, and I want to give you the story because I firmly believe in divine timing. Everything happens for a reason, and just really fostering relationships when that stuff happens. So I started my firm 2018. Towards the end of 2018, I started pitching a lot of podcasts. And if you haven't listened, go back. I've done an episode on podcast pitching on those, to get on those before. And I had no idea who he was, but I was pitching him, and he responded and said, yeah, let's do it. And I had no idea who he was. So I was like, okay, let me go look up this guy. I'm going to be on his podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's kind of a big deal. And so I was really excited to do the podcast. And by the end, he's like, okay, how do I get you to be my new attorney? We're paying some big firm in New York. They send me a bill. I have no idea what I'm paying for. There's like no interaction. Like, I just feel like a number, and I want to work with somebody that I vibe with, that I like. And I'm like, absolutely. Like, I can help you with whatever you want. And mind you, I didn't exactly know everything that I was doing, but I knew I knew the trademark route. I knew I wanted to really focus in on trademarks. And so I knew enough to get him as a client. And then that was the end of 2018, early 2019, he starts enrolling for his mastermind again. And at this time, you had to be making $250,000 a year to join the mastermind. And now it's like $500,000 a year. And at that point, I was making like maybe $10,000 a month. In January that year, I made $12,000 or $13,000. And I was like, I was really increasing in business. And I just knew, I was like, this is going to be the year. And so I applied to enroll, and he was like, absolutely, you're a great fit. So I joined the mastermind, and little did I know what that would do for me. because it wasn't just the fact that I joined the mastermind, and of course the mastermind itself helped me as a business owner, but you have to realize, like, if you're listening to this right now, you have to realize you are so valuable in these circles. If I could literally join every business mastermind in the world, I would. But I think every attorney, especially if you're a solo attorney, you have to join a mastermind, not just because like it's going to help you in business, but because you're such a huge resource for the people in that room and everybody they know. So I got lucky with Chris Harder's mastermind. It was a lot of business coaches, a lot of people in the online space, and that's really how I carved my niche. Because before that, it was really online clothing boutiques. That was my first business. But very quickly, I started running into conflicts, and I was like, okay, I got to branch out. And so I joined the mastermind. I also did a lot of other stuff, but Chris Harder personally has connected me to so many people. He has just introduced me to so many people, really helped me with my mindset, of course. Like business wise, he's helped me a million times over, but also the referrals, the just introductions to people for any little thing. And so direct business from him has been incredible. And then from people I've met in the mastermind, people that he's introduced me to, they then introduce. So it's just a huge referral thing. So if you are an attorney, like especially if you're serving businesses in any capacity, you should be in a mastermind. Yes, it's going to help with your firm, but second, the referrals that come from it, like hands down, I can't say I wouldn't have made what I made if I wasn't in his mastermind, but I know I have done so well because of his mastermind, a huge part of it. Of course, you have to take action, you have to do the right things, but I wouldn't have had the flow of clients. I wouldn't have had the referrals if it wasn't for him. And and Chris Harder's just my overall mentor. This is the first year actually that I'm not doing his mastermind. We're doing a lot of more startup events. We're doing an accelerator, but he's actually the one that gave me the idea to go all in with Legalpreneur. And because when I left my ex-husband, I was very just stagnant in the law firm. I was like, okay, making easy money. It's just whatever. I didn't feel challenged. And he basically put this idea in my head and I was like, yeah, like it's time. Let's do it. So he's just been such an amazing resource. But I encourage you as a solo attorney, number one, you have to have a business first mindset because it doesn't matter how great of a lawyer you are if you don't have clients to serve. Because you can be the best lawyer in the world, but it doesn't matter if you don't have anybody to serve. Next, you really have to be fostering those relationships. I mean, if you've listened to any episodes, you know, like I talk about fostering relationships and joining a mastermind. That just puts your relationships on fire because it's not just like one relationship from there. It's everybody in that room. And I learned I had a long time in the firm. I didn't really know my worth. I didn't know my value. Like I knew I could charge for my services, obviously, but I didn't realize how valuable I was and how valuable I was as an attorney being in these circles. So make sure that you know going into these circles, like they find you extremely valuable. And I never felt taken advantage of. Like we know, like there's family that contacts us out of the blue every, 6 months. Like, hey, can you help me with this? Like that's not what a mastermind is about. They're all on the same level. That's why typically there's an application process to make sure, like, because whoever's running the mastermind, like it's on them to cultivate a good community and people that are going to be serving each other. So anyways, I could go on and on about masterminds. I'm such a huge believer. Just this year, I was in his mastermind for 3 years, and this year, now that we're doing the Oracle NetSuite Accelerator, I decided not to do the mastermind because we're so focused on the accelerator, really just the startup route. But I still serve his community still, and the text that he sent me, he's like, "Hey, can I introduce you to somebody?" So yes, I love masterminds. I absolutely think you should join one. If you want recommendations, drop me a comment. Let me know your practice area. And I know a lot of people that run masterminds. So if you are interested, just drop me a comment. Let me know your practice area, what kind of mastermind you're interested in, and I will see who I can recommend you to. And I'll see you next week.